we were in camp in December for the political squeeze to put Spence in the ring. In February, he gets into another car accident, you know. Luckily, you know, he's got that armored tank of a truck now out there, and he was okay. But, you know, I got into an accident before the Sean Porter fight. You know, I remember trying to stick to my original date until my sparring partner, as I started to drop down, hit me on the forehead with us. In my eyes, we live the same life, you know. He was an Olympian. I strive for the Olympics, you know. And now he is unified beyond my unification. The same thing that I was trying to do, but injuries held me back, which actually allowed him to finessely get those titles, right? And then my loss to Manny Pacquiao with, you know, Ugas, who you won the WBA from, is not Keith Thurman, period. There's truth in that, you know, and I know the real salt is probably the salt on his wound of having to deal with critics like you and people who acknowledge, like, hey, you know, we all expected this fight at some time, you know, and it hit me the day he fought Ugas, because that arena that was packed, that was cheering, that was a big Spence crowd because it was Texas and everything, but, you know, that should have been Thurman's night. That should have been Thurman versus Spence. Thurman versus Spence as two undefeated champions, unifying titles. That was what was in the works, you know. Things didn't work out, but let's see what happens. Errol, you should thank me. If I fought you when you called me out, when you was nobody, you got paid nobody money.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So what you just heard was the voice of former unified welterweight WBA, WBC world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who has a record of 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout, stands at 5'8" with a 69-inch arm reach. Keith Thurman is discussing and talking about his possible future return, what was taking place in the past, why haven't we seen him in the ring since February 5th of 2022. He's been out the ring for well over a year. Once again, Keith Thurman has been grossly inactive since he unified the belts March of 2017 against two-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia. Since then, Keith Thurman has fought a total of 3 times in 6 years. He came back after in 2019, January 2019, he fought Josito Lopez. Then in July of 2019, he fought against Manny Pacquiao, which was the only loss and blemish on his record. And then he was out the ring again. He didn't come back until February of 2022 when he fought Mario Barrios, and he beat Mario Barrios. And then we still haven't seen Keith Thurman since. This is now May of 2023. So since 2017, he unified March of 2017 against Danny Garcia. He's fought a total of 3 times in 6 years. Okay, 3 times in 6 years. That's once every 2 years Keith Thurman has fought. And Keith Thurman has now revealed that they were attempting to put a political squeeze on undefeated, unified 3-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2, if not number 1, definitely top 5 pound for pound best fighters in the world, in Earl the Truth Spence Jr., who holds a record of 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. Keith Thurman is 33 years of age, going on 34 years of age. And this is in between the mix of Errol Spence trying to secure a massive showdown with undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the number 1 best pound for pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford holds a record of 39 wins, no losses, no draw, 30 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. So with that said, Keith Thurman has said that they was putting on a political squeeze on Errol Spence to force Errol Spence to fight Keith Thurman in February. Well, if Errol Spence was being forced to fight Keith Thurman in February, And everybody was complaining, why didn't the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight come to fruition? And Keith Thurman just told you that he was putting a political squeeze on Errol Spence. They was. Keith Thurman alone can't put the political squeeze on Errol Spence. We know that the PBC Premier Boxing Champion, founding advisor Al Heyman, and team had been pushing for a fight with Errol Spence and Keith Thurman for quite some time. They even put up a few polls. They put up a poll to which one, Errol Spence responded when they put up a poll of Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, and Errol Spence responded to the poll and said, the PBC, he added the PBC, needs to take the L out of lover, meaning it's over. I'm not fighting Keith Thurman. So we know they have been pushing for this fight. If Keith Thurman was saying that they were putting a political squeeze on Errol Spence to fight him in February, and Errol Spence was negotiating a fight with Terrence Crawford for November, December, well, that means Keith Thurman was always in the mix, okay, whether Errol Spence liked it or not. Now, Errol Spence, he's been stating, like he said, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again, I have no interest in fighting Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman gave Errol Spence the runaround. After Keith Thurman unified the belts against Danny Garcia in March, Errol Spence won his first world title in May against former IBF welterweight world champion, British superstar boxer Special K Kell Brook in the UK, and he stopped Kell Brook in the 11th round for the IBF title for his first title opportunity in foreign land. And he immediately stated he wanted to unify against Keith Thurman, who had the WBC and WBA titles, okay, and or he wanted to fight legendary 8 division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, who at the time held the WBO title. Okay, Manny Pacquiao then went on to fight Jeff Horn, and he lost to Jeff Horn. And then Terrence Crawford, Jeff Horn had the title defense, and then he ended up fighting Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford took the WBO title from Jeff Horn. From that point forward, Terrence Crawford has been holding on to the WBO title. Then Errol Spence went on to unify against against Sean Porter, who beat Danny Garcia for the vacant belt that was stripped from Keith Thurman. And Keith Thurman beat Danny Garcia. Then he was stripped of his belt for inactivity. Danny Garcia fought Sean Porter for the vacant WBC title. Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia. Sean Porter defended the title against Yordenis Ugas. He won. Then Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia. He won. And then he fought Sean Porter and picked up the WBC title. Then Errol Spence suffered a horrific car accident, was out the ring for 14 months, came back December 5th of 2020, and he fought Danny Garcia, defended his titles, and beat Danny Garcia. Then Errol Spence was on his way to fight Manny Pacquiao, who then came back in July 2019, beat Keith Thurman, and picked up the WBA title. But Errol Spence suffered a horrific eye injury, a broken or detached retina that had to be fixed. So Yordenis Ugas, Cuban star boxer, fought and replaced Errol Spence, and he dominated Manny Pacquiao. Then Errol Spence, he came back April 16th, 2022, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium, dominated, broke Yordenis Ugas' ribs, nose, and orbital bone, took his WBA title, and became the unified 3-belt world champion. So Keith Thurman is saying that that Errol Spence should be thankful that he was able to not put the political squeeze on him, because he said Errol Spence then in December suffered another car accident that derailed them from fighting in February. So Keith Thurman confirmed that they were going to fight in February. Okay. And this backs up and confirms what Terrence Crawford was saying, that he wasn't going to get the Errol Spence fight until 2023, not in 2022. Hence the reason why he fought against David Avediji in December of 2022, right? To stay active, because he himself was out the ring because he didn't fight since November of 2021 when he fought Sean Porter. So he wanted to stay active. And Keith Thurman is telling you we was putting a political squeeze. Hence the reason why the World Boxing Council, President Mauricio Suleiman, and board of 32 members, they immediately pushed Keith Thurman to the front of the line and made him the mandatory #1 challenger for Errol Spence's WBC title. And they stated that they owed it to Keith Thurman from when they stripped him on the belt due to inactivity in 2017 and 2018, right? Nonetheless, Errol Spence suffered a car accident, and now Errol Spence has once again confirmed that he was being pushed to fight Keith Thurman, and he turned the fight down. He could have fought Keith Thurman, and he turned it down. He has no interest in fighting Keith Thurman. So what political squeeze is Keith Thurman talking about? Well, we know the PBC and the WBC wanted to make this fight for Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. They wanted to keep it in-house. It's a big fight in-house. Terrence Crawford is an outsider. They weren't eager to make a fight with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence because he's an outsider and he's not signed to the PBC. He beats Errol Spence and he's once again a free agent. Hence the reason why, they're not eager to make these fights. But nonetheless, it looks like we're going to get Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence in July. Hopefully that comes to fruition. We have to see how that unfolds and plays out. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hi, my name is Heather the Heat Hardy, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.